Patriots, and welcome to Patriotic News Flash 7. In this series, I want to bring you 1A and 2A, First Amendment and Second Amendment news, which is not being covered in the mainstream left state media because they don't think it's important. And today I decided I will be expanding the area of interest for this series to include also pro-life news and policies and events around the world. So let's start by going to New Zealand again, and let's see what's happening over here, or over there should I say. This is an article from the Clown News Network, and as you may know, the New Zealand government, or Jacinda Ardern, has decided to ban what they call military-style semi-automatic firearms. And the term military style is misleading because the military does not use these semi-automatic firearms. But the article now states that gun owners in New Zealand voluntarily surrender more than 10,000 firearms. And this seems to be framing the message into that this buyback scheme. The term buyback is also misleading, as the state has never owned these guns before, so the state cannot buy them back. But the title seems to suggest that this buyback scheme that has started, that it is now some kind of a success, as 10,000 firearms voluntarily have been surrendered. And the term voluntarily is also very interesting because the citizens, the law-abiding citizens, are forced by law to hand over these firearms. I don't think they would do it voluntarily if they weren't forced to do so with this law. So let's read in a bit into this article. As of Sunday, a total of 10,242 firearms had been handed into police since the gun buyback kicked off on July 13. New Zealand has tightened its gun laws after a white nationalist allegedly opened fire at two Christchurch mosques on March 15. So here, of course, we notice the narrative of the Clown News Network. They are judging this incident already, although the perpetrator or the suspect has not received his sentence in a court of law, but they already know, or they are already judging the suspect, and it has to fit their narrative, of course. And the suspect, it is here stated, obtained a gun license and began purchasing guns legally. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said, and the day after the attack, she said the country's guns laws would change. And 2 weeks after the attack, a bill to ban semi-automatic firearms was introduced. And so the interesting part here is that the gun owners now are voluntarily forced to hand over their dangerous military-style semi-automatic weapons, and the number is now 10,000 according to the article, but at the same time they have to admit that police estimate there are about 1.2 million guns in circulation in the country, and so if they hand over 10,000 guns or 20,000 guns, this is irrelevant in the sense that the number of guns is definitely not reduced in a significant way, and of course the criminals, they are not handing over their guns, but the law-abiding citizens are doing so. And the next news I found is this petition from New Zealand. It is the petition of Kevin Stitt for New Conservative Party. And what is this petition about? The petition requests that the House of Representatives reject the abortion legislation bill, which proposes to remove abortion, the terminating of a defenseless life, from the Crimes Act, and to make abortion more accessible. The reason for the petition is, according to this text, that the government has introduced a bill to make abortion a health care issue and make it available on demand up to 20 weeks. So let's just take a look at Jacinda Ardern once again. In my opinion, this is the most evil politician we have right now in the political theater. She is restricting First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, massively in New Zealand. She is restricting the right of law-abiding citizens to own firearms in New Zealand, and the newest policy that is now coming up is she is introducing abortion upon demand, and there is no medical reason needed up to 20 weeks. I was made aware of this by the honorable YouTuber Mr. Terry O'Pines, who made a new video called New Zealand's Ugly Abortion Law Reform. And I will play a little bit of this video, and in his opinion, this 20-week abortion upon demand is the introduction to, or the first step to, getting used to or to introducing late-term abortion, 40 weeks upon demand. And these kind of insane policies, or demand for these kind of policies, have been noticed, for example, in Germany, where the Young Social Democrats, the youth organization of the Social Democratic Party, has demanded that abortion should be decriminalized in its entirety and could theoretically allow for abortion upon demand up to birth. So I will link Terry's video in the description, and you can watch the video in its entirety if you want to. I would like to play a little bit here, but before I do, I will inform you of that this video is not suitable for people who are very sensitive. I have made the judgment that this video is not necessarily age restricted, but I will just let you know in advance that it is quite hard to watch, and the part I'm going to show you is the part in which Terry describes an incident in a hospital in Ohio, Columbus, in the United States of America, where a couple and a woman was admitted to hospital, and she had two twins, and they were 22 weeks and 5 days old. And Terry is showing this to his viewers because he wants the viewer to understand the mindset behind these crazy leftist policies and their judgment of life. They are on one hand appalled by the shooting in Christchurch where 51 people were killed, but the same amount of people lose their life in New Zealand via abortion every day, and there is no outcry over this. And now Jacinda Ardern wants to make it even easier to get an abortion in New Zealand. So let's listen in to this American case.
Yet here we are in New Zealand pushing to kill babies right up until birth. Yeah, well, that couple were lucky with their hospital. This hospital in Ohio appears to be killing babies. I'll just make this smaller first. On June 24, 2017, Amanda F. entered Riverside Methodist Hospital of Columbus, Ohio, pregnant with twins. She had experienced bleeding and was concerned for her preborn sons. Hospital staff informed Amanda if she delivered before 22 weeks 5 days gestation, there would be no assessment of or attempt to resuscitate her sons. Three days later, the boys were born at 22 weeks 5 days. In spite of making it to 22 weeks 5 days, Riverside staff told Amanda neonatal intensive care would make no attempt to aid the twins. Emily was born first. No hospital staff were present until after the birth. He landed on the edge of the bed. That's disgusting.
He's moving. You guys are gonna save him, right? Promise me. You're gonna save him. They're gonna look at him, baby. Look at him. Please save him. Just hold him.
Emily lived 45 minutes. Hospital staff did not try to assist him. They wrapped him in a blanket, put him under a lamp and let him die. Wow. Elliot, born second, was much larger than Emily. Amanda was told the babies would be stillborn or breathe for a moment. Elliot not only breathed, he also cried for 2 hours 30 minutes before dying, while Riverside staff refused to assist him. That's shocking, folks. Now, I really, really hope she sued the hell out of them. Yeah.
So this is what we're going to get more and more, and there is no problem in the left to advocate for these kind of policies. And so I think it's time to expose these evil politicians and their horrible policies, and it's time to start changing things and voting right-minded people into office and to change these horrible tendencies which we now are seeing. Okay, that's all for today, folks, and I hope you're all having a great summer day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.